The Arizona Community Foundation is out with a new data-driven report that addresses the issue of teacher vacancies in the state. Report looks to find solutions to Arizona's persistent teacher shortage. Ana Marie Chavez is the president and CEO of the Arizona Community Foundation, and she joins us now. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Strengthening and supporting teaching in Arizona. That's what the report's all about. Give me a better definition here.
Sure. Well, what this report stated was that we will continue to need to invest in our teacher workforce here in Arizona. We know that the #1 factor of student success is actually the quality of the teacher in the classroom. So back in 2018, we actually funded our first research study on teachers in Arizona, and it was more around comparing their salaries to the other teachers in other states. And what we found was clearly not enough salary being given to our wonderful teachers in Arizona. Changes happened. And then we decided, it's time to go back in and really get a sense what's happening with our teachers, especially after COVID. And what we found in this report that we published last year was that, again, unfortunately, we're seeing a very high vacancy rate of teachers here in Arizona.
Why are we seeing that? I've been doing this many years,
yes,
and it seems like this is a consistent problem.
Well, it's consistent. It's also consistent across the country, unfortunately. What we're finding is that in Arizona, we have twice as many teachers out of school classrooms. Meaning, again, if we compare ourselves to other school districts and other states across the country, twice as many vacancies than other states. So that's one. Two, what we're finding coming out of COVID, teachers were tired, classroom numbers went up, so they had more kids in their classrooms. And then in addition, what we found was it was the teachers that were starting their careers that were having the hardest time, being successful in the classroom. And so we're seeing them leave early in their career as well.
Are there best practices that the state can look at? Is someone doing this really well that we can say, I'm doing it that way?
Absolutely, there are bright spots. And we're lucky the fact that actually in Arizona, the policy context for education is actually really good. And it actually allows school districts to do innovative programming to help teachers think differently about class planning, how to share classrooms with other teachers. And so what we're hoping, again, with this research report, to bring these issues to the attention of decision makers across the state.
I was going to say the report, the goal, I think, from what I've read, was to redesign. I think that was the word, redesign the teaching profession. Explain, please.
Well, again, in this report, we found there were bright spots. There are other states doing very innovative things. And what we're trying to do, and we, in this report, give them a toolkit of some of those innovative design programs for classrooms. And what we're hoping that we can continue to educate individuals to implement those innovative designs in classrooms.
The tools in the toolkit. Can they be used in Arizona considering the political climate, considering the population? I mean, is it apples to oranges, or are we looking at two different apples here?
No, and this research study was specifically on Arizona schools. And, recently at the Arizona Community Foundation, we actually hosted a forum that brought together individuals from state agencies, from school districts, from teachers. And what we heard was, yes, absolutely. We'd love to implement these innovative designs in classrooms, but we need the administrators to also understand we need the space in the day to do so. So again, it's listening to our teachers and understanding that, again, we need to listen to those teachers in the classroom to design the day that's going to work for them, but also the students.
When you mention innovative designs and you talk about designing the day and talk about, having to do this and tired of doing that, blah, I mean, are there specific things that you can point at and say, this is something we need to do now?
Yes, and let me bring this back just as a human point. I grew up in Arizona. I'm a product of public schools in Arizona. And what I know that when I was in a classroom and I had a teacher who had, let's say, 20 kids that they could focus on, we got so much out of the day, right? They were able to focus, they were able to get their lessons plan done. What we found in our research report and what we're hearing from teachers is when you increase class sizes and you don't focus on some of these innovative ways to make their days better, they're going to burn out quicker and they're going to leave the profession. So what we're saying is, again, by working in school districts that are doing things very innovatively, it's working, and then bringing those ideas to other school districts throughout the state, that's how we succeed for the kids in the classroom.
Just from a distance, I would think, though, that if you had 30 kids in a classroom, too many. Let's make it two classrooms of 15 each.
Right.
You need an extra teacher there. It sounds, how does that work?
Exactly. So that's one of the examples. So perhaps you have 2 teachers in a classroom. So while one is preparing their lesson plan, the other one is teaching a particular course, and together they can manage that classroom of 29 individuals. That's what's happening right now, right? We have teachers with that kind of course load with not enough time to prepare for the day.
I was going to say, but if you do that, if you go that level, you're going to need 2 where one, and we already have a teacher shortage. How do you work that math?
Right, exactly. So where do we start? And we start by identifying the schools that are doing it well. And we share that spotlight on how to do it effectively. 2, we make it easier for the teachers who are currently in those classrooms, right? We support those new teachers. Perhaps that you give that new teacher in that school a less classroom, a less number of kids in their classroom. You lessen the impact of their day to give them that space to learn. What we're hearing from, again, the new teachers who are leaving the profession in a very quick pace is it just got too overwhelming. And as we saw during COVID, for those of us who were parents who had to stay home and teach their kids, it's hard being a teacher, right? And so our empathy goes out to them, but again, there are solutions. This report provides those solutions.
Quick answer if you could. Are you optimistic?
I'm very optimistic. Again, as somebody who grew up in public schools here in Arizona, we've been doing it great. I think we need to focus on teachers giving them the skills and the opportunities to do what they do best, and that is teach kids and their passion for education.
Ana Marie Chavez, again, Arizona Community Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. Encouraging words. We appreciate it.
Thank you.